let's not forget that alcoholism in elderly is prevalent, and that one is, remember, alcoholism and drug abuse is a cross-cutting issue. It doesn't choose on race, age, gender. It's cross-cutting. So a man who has been working for all his years, he's gone for retire. He had a busy schedule from 8 to 5
at work. Yeah.
Now he's retired. Where will he go? Wazazi, they live in Thika. Instead of going to the estate where they live, I could not fit there because there is no changa, and this is a daily thing. I have to maintain my high every now and then.
Hello viewers, and welcome to Mworia Network once again, and we thank you so much for being our supporters in this changing lives. Like we said, we have been discussing issues, our social issues affecting our elderly in our country. We are talking about the issues that are affecting them directly or indirectly, because the issues affecting indirectly, including those coming from their children, it will still affect their well-being. Today we are handling or tackling a topic on alcoholism, and with us here we have a chemical addiction counselor, director of Uhai Kenya, which is an NGO. This person is recovering from alcoholic. He told me there's nothing called recovered because there's a process. He's still continuing to recover from alcoholic for a long time. And now we're going to talk about his life before alcohol, during alcohol, and after rehabilitation. And with us we have Edwin Gitau, KIBE. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mworia.
Yes.
Pro-aging organization. I'm really happy. I'm humbled to be interviewed by you. You're doing a great job, and I know you're going to discuss issues that are really affecting our society and our community, and particularly a population that has been left behind in so many issues. I'm happy that we have somebody like you and the Mworia Network that is covering a special area of interest. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Mr. KIBE. For those who don't know you, I know a few that know you having an NGO also doing what I'm doing. And there are those who don't even know your journey, your story, or what made you to do what you're doing right now. Would you introduce yourself, tell the viewers who Edwin Gitau KIBE is, and what prompted you to do what you do?
Thank you very much to our viewers. Like I said, my name is Edwin Gitau KIBE. I come from the Murang'a, the slopes of Mount Kenya. My ancestral home is in Murang'a, Kandara County. And just like Madam Lucy has said, everybody, each one of us has a story. And for you to be doing something must have prompted you to do whatever you're doing. I'm a family man, and also I went to school just like any other child, and was brought up like, I come from a very humble background, and went to school, finished high school, went to for my university studies. I studied in India in 1998. That's when I went to India, and then I completed my degree in 2001, and I came back to Kenya in 2002. And I had very high expectations because while in India I got my first degree, Bachelor's of Commerce, and then I had a national diploma, a higher national diploma, and some short courses like the computer packages. So when I came back to Kenya, I had very high expectations, hoping to get a well-paying job. But unfortunately, due to frustrations, there are no jobs forthcoming, and that led to me finding myself into self-defeating habits, alcoholism, and drug abuse. So I slipped into alcoholism in the year 2002 when I came back to Kenya, since I had the expectations of getting a job immediately. But slowly, I didn't know that by then I was just drinking for fun and trying to forget that I was not getting a job. but slowly I slipped into addiction. And we always say that addiction is a process. So in the initial stages you may think that everything is alright, but with time you realize that you are unable to come out of it. So that happened to me, and I sank into alcoholism from 2003, deep alcoholism, up to somewhere in 2010. That was the most serious period of my life. It was the most difficult period, but it did not start. The problem with alcoholism, I realized that I have a problem and I need help from professionals in 2010. But coming to get help, it happened in 2011. So we are talking about a period of around 10 years. 2012.
That is phase 1.
That is my first phase. Initially, okay, let me put it this way. Initially, when I was going to school and going to the university, I never used alcohol. Even if I used, it was that usual, the social thing, the casual thing. But now it has become something persistent, something that I'm doing day in, day out, so that I can be able to function. So I had slipped into alcoholism. That is what we refer to as chemical addiction.
So you are drinking to run away from reality of not getting a job or achieving what
precisely. When your expectations are not met, you look for consolations. You look for ways of consoling yourself, telling yourself that either things will be okay, or you've been beaten, you're defeated, you've lifted your hands, you have nothing to do. And that is exactly what is happening with our youth today. But with the current administration, we can see a lot of political goodwill. Mental health issues have been embraced, and I know the government and even the people of goodwill, we are doing something to help the community.
So let's go back to your story. When you are drinking, where are you drinking? Like in Nairobi, or like where did you drink, and where are you getting the money from, and you are not working?
Thank you for that, but I want to mention something, that for those people you see doing alcohol or even doing drugs, you don't have to have a constant source of income for you to sustain your drinking. The people who are using drugs, they are very friendly. They are very social. They know how to share, because they know today you'll be having, tomorrow you'll be lacking, so there is a way. So my drinking when I came back from India is a very interesting story, because I remember I used to drink at Hilton Hotel when I arrived from India, and majority of us know Hilton Hotel, and that's where I used to do my drinking initially. Slowly I slipped into the next level, which is I crossed now from Mworia Avenue to the next street, which is Mworia. Gradual. It's a very gradual process, and you rarely realize.
No, you can't afford it.
You can't afford the Hilton now,
but so you must drink.
You must drink. So you look for a cheaper source of alcohol, or a cheaper brand of alcohol. So you cross the road, and those years is when we had a problem with the sachets, the alcohol, the whiskeys and the brandies and the what have you. They were sold in sachets of 10 shillings or even 25 shillings. It was very easily accessible and affordable. So I drank those sachets. Due to the alcohol, what do we call it? We call it tolerance. You have to get the first kick that you got initially. So the alcoholics that you see, those who are doing changa, they are in search of the first feeling that they got when they drank alcohol. So there is that level, we call it tolerance. Tolerance is because your body is becoming tolerant. If you drink one beer, tomorrow you will not need one beer for you to get a high. You need two. Same case goes to even weed, marijuana. You find people who are doing 2 to 3 sticks of marijuana. That's a story for another day, because it's a lengthy topic. Yeah. So I slipped into the second generation, which is now the sachets, which were retailing at 10 shillings, 20 shillings. They were very cheap. Ilikuwa changa, imewekwa kwa makaratasi. And they were all over. Thank God our government banned that. Then from the second generation, little did I know that I'm slipping into the next level, which is the last level, where we have the illicit brew. I would do changa, I would do meratina, I would do a combination of both. I remember at some point in 2008 going to Nairobi River near Mathare, because I was staying in Mlango Kubwa. So I went down there to Mathare River to cool chang'aa ikitoka kwa mto, because inatengenezea huko kwa mto. And people who are in such a situation, they don't eat. You don't have the appetite, because this alcohol, it contains some sugars that lies to the brain that you...
And you'd rather drink the sachet kuliko kubuy chakula.
That is the thing. With 100 shillings, you drink 70 shillings and take cigarettes for 10 shillings, and then you eat with 20 shillings. That is the calculations that normally happens. It's very unfortunate.
Is that what you are calling now chemical?
Chemical addiction. Now you become addicted because the brain will not function. You're in search for a feeling that you got the very first time when you took alcohol. And it is something, that's why we call it a brain disease. Alcoholism, drug addiction is a brain disease. It affects the brain and it changes how the brain chemistry interacts in your system.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing. So when people see you drunk by 8 a.m. in the morning, or by 6 somebody is drunk, you're just trying to calm the nerves.
Now you're talking about Moratina and all these, they are called the chemical, I don't know what. Now you moved from Hilton, you moved to Tomboya, to Mathare. Now you went to the villages.
From when I was in Nairobi, Lango Kubwa area, I realized that I will die because I'm also not feeding.
You are fearing to die?
Yeah, I was fearing.
So you are fearing, but
I was fearing, but I didn't have a way of coming out of it, because this is a disease. And people out there, they are thinking, this guy is a pretender. After all, he has been taken to India, he's just a rebellious son. And when people talk, people will talk. And that's why I appreciate the current government, that they are embracing mental health issues. Because when the significant people in my life, I realized that I am suffering, I was taken to hospital, a rehab. That is now the other phase. So while I was in Mathare, I felt like I need somebody to take care of me.
So now so you went to drink in your village?
I went back home to my parents.
When everything is finished?
When I was I was full of dents on my face, my lips were burnt, and I could not walk out. My broken teeth, yes. The lips were, you'll find people who are having a reddened lip, the lower lip.
Yeah.
So I was looking emaciated, like somebody who is sick. So I thought the next thing is to go to my parents and get help. But wazazi, they live in Thika. Instead of going to the estate where they live, I could not fit there because there is no chang'aa. And this is a daily thing. I have to maintain my high every now and then.
And you will meet your friends, they will give you the money.
So I learned
not the money,
the drink.
Yeah.
So I found myself in Kiandutu slums. The Kiandutu slums is in Thika. It's the biggest slum within central.
And your parents are living in a good estate in town.
Yes, but you cannot fit there. You are an outcast, you are a social misfit, nobody is understanding what is going through your life. So and you need to get the high. Sasa huko
at least to forget.
Huko nilikoroga chang'aa. Nilipika. You can imagine graduating from India and celebrating your graduation in Kiandutu, drinking chang'aa and brewing chang'aa and trafficking chang'aa. It was really bad.
So you even knew how to do it?
Yes, I have done.
So that you can be given some?
Yes, when you do it, not some money, but something to drink. So it was a mess. That's why I always say I have 3 phases of life: before using, while using it, and thank God I went to treatment and I got the recovery.
So what are these ingredients in this chang'aa? Could it be crude things or?
We have so many things that are used, the ingredients that make chang'aa. The main ones being the molasses and what do you call it? There are so many chemicals. Bad stuff. You'll find even the innerwears, battery torches. You'll find even sisal juices. You'll find so many nasty things.
What? I've heard about putting the innerwears at the batteries with acid?
Yes. Because they are catalysts. They fasten the process of making chang'aa. It makes the chang'aa to be potent. It becomes when you take a chang'aa that is. Let me say this: the distillation is the best way of preparing a brew. But now, the high that you get from the ordinary distillation is not as equal to with the additives.
Ile imewekwa masukari
takataka huko ndani.
Na ulikunywa? No. Na ulikuwa unajua unafanya hivyo? No. Na hata wewe ulifanya? Oh my God.
That is the challenge now. That's why now you find it's a brain disease. You see what you're doing is not right,
and what you are taking,
where it is coming from, but you don't have powers over it. That is somebody who is abnormal. That is somebody who is sick, who is blinded. Alright? That's why I would encourage the viewers, always look at that person who is there. They are usually not themselves, and they need our hand. Now I'm speaking as a recovering alcoholic. Like you said, we don't talk of recovered. Once an alcoholic, forever an alcoholic.
So, Edwin,
yes.
Now for you now to have gone to, you went to Kiambutu, you don't want to stay at home, and is it you who thought about yourself that you needed change in your life? Is it your parent? Is it someone who saw something? Is it someone who suggested for you? How did you come out of it?
Thank you for that. What normally happens is it reaches a point you start now recollecting. You start wondering, did I really need to get a degree to become a changad?
By yourself?
Yeah, it will reach a point.
Not very for everybody, but for you,
for me, it hits my mind. Now it reaches a point.
You could say, remember, I went to India.
I got my degrees. I have my certificates with me. But why now am I in alcohol?
Oh, yeah.
And the first step that comes to your brain is that you've been bewitched, or maybe it will cross your mind, because when you look. And
you know you're not okay, but you don't know what to do.
You don't know what to do. Your parents, they are always crying for you. They're telling you, what happened to you, my son, and can you go to rehab? And you tell them, no, it's not your time.
And other people blaming you.
The whole blame is on me. But now, it's very important for us to understand that this journey has its genesis. There are the roots to it. And there are three factors that contribute to alcoholism.
Becoming alcoholic.
Genetics. The history. Do you have a history of alcoholism in your family? It could be in the genes. Yes, scientific science has proven that. Are you serious? Yes, it happens. Science has proven that. That is one of the predisposing factors. Alright? That is
ukiwa mwangu uone baba yako alikuwa hivi ama mama yako, afadhali ujue now you are a candidate.
The X and Y chromosome. What I'm saying is, if you're an alcoholic, chances are that your children will become alcoholics. And if you're an alcoholic, there is a possibility, probably your dad is not an alcoholic, but your grandfather was an alcoholic. So it can skip one generation to the next one.
That is proven.
Yes, science is there, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we have proof for that. So, number one is the genetic predisposition.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah, because I have noise it has So, you are saying, what are the causes now of this? You mean there is a cause?
There is a cause. When I came, I started my recovery, I had to go back to school to read, to understand what was going on in my life. Because in my little understanding, I thought I was bewitched. I thought maybe it's a curse. But after I went to school, that's when I realized there are three key factors. One, genetic predisposition. Genetically, does it run in the family? Like now, we have families that are epileptic. And not all of them, the children are epileptic. It will hit some and skip others. We have people with blood sugar, which is genetical. Alright? We have diseases that have a lineage. You can trace it backwards from the roots. And you find for sure it has been running in the family. Genetics is key factor. Yes.
Oh.
Number two, it is the environment. The environment that we live in. And when we talk about environment, we are talking the environment where life of a human being starts. And life begins at conception. Sio mambo ya kuona. Angalia mama mjamzito ako na mimba, amepigwa slap na bwana yake. She has been physically abused, emotionally, she has been psychologically abused. That one affects the growing fetus. It registers in the brains of the growing fetus. And this will only manifest 20-21 years later.
Are you kidding me?
That is the reality. Again, science has proven that you'll find in the history we can't trace it genetically. These parents, they don't drink, but the child after 25, when he's in college or when he's almost through with college or even when he started working, he starts drinking. Kumbe alikuwa na trauma that happened when the kid was growing. So when you come to anataka kutoa hiyo kitu iliingia kwa brain. So the first environment is during the growing fetus.
Yeah.
The second environment is when the baby is brought in the family. You are struggling with the family, you have economic issues, you have marriage conflicts, misunderstandings, and the child is absorbing all this. Along the way, you may find this kid has lost, you have lost a loved one. You know, this is what we call childhood traumas.
It can cause you to become alcoholic.
Precisely. You know, it's a mental disturbance. Your brain is absorbing something that it's not used to. It cannot accommodate all this. And so when time comes, you start reacting to what registered or was stored in your brain. It goes to the subconscious of your brain, the environment. If it is not happening in the family, you will find that in the school fraternity, where the kid starts school, there is the peer influence, peer attitude. All these are factors. Now we are talking about the environment.
Even teachers wengine demotivate mtoto kabisa.
Angalia, the best mathematics teacher, the best physics and chemistry teacher, you find they drink, they smoke. So the kid who is around thinks precisely. So what is the environment like? And you'll find that, and this has been confirmed even by Nakada, that the first drink, the first smoke, the first substance of abuse, this child is offered by the most immediate family members. It's either the father or the cousin or an uncle. They are the people who introduce this substance to the child.
Ama inaachwa kwa nyumba, mtoto na yeye anaenda kuangalia.
Say for example, umeenda with the knee.
Yeah.
Na mtoto haimwagi, that's what we say from there. Unaonjesha mtoto, si ndio? Na huyu mtoto genetically akona gene imelala. The gene, the alcoholic gene is dormant.
Your family.
No, in the child now.
Yeah.
Na ameonjeshwa. This gene now arises. This is a sleeping monster, and it could not have affected this young man. Alright? But now, umeyamsha kwa sababu umemuonjesha. And that's why we need such forums. Mworia Network. We need more of this so that we can educate the community out there. That when you start bashing, ask yourself, how did I contribute to this?
Even as a parent.
As a parent, yes.
Yeah.
Because now when things get out of hand, when things get out of hand, you start pointing a finger. Yet this child, when he was coming to this life, hakukuja na pombe, he found it. So who is to blame?
It's the person who took care of you.
The person who took care of you. The environment that you grew up in, the genetics. We need to broaden our thinking and stop stigmatizing these people.
Yeah.
Because nobody wishes. It was not my wish to go all the way to India and then become a changa alcoholic. No, it is not my dream. Remember, I had a dream, and for your information, the same Gitau who was in changa, who had dents and who had messed up his life, is the same person here. What changed? I went to her hospital, I got the treatment, and here I am. By then, I could not read a book. Today, I'm a PhD candidate as we speak.
Wow.
Alright? So, we should try to bring these people closer. Bring them closer so that we help them come out of this. If we don't do this, then we are going to lose a generation. But still there is the need for that political goodwill. The political goodwill, because you will find there are so many factors that surround alcoholism and drug abuse. During the election, during the campaigns, you find some politicians will spill beer and alcohol, and bangi and everything to these kids, to mobilize them to, So there are so many factors. That was factor number 2.
So before we go to factor number 3, And I'm not biased or anything. It's a way the realities we are hearing. Even the deputy president right now is talking of alcoholism in Central.
Yes.
We even hear the young people now cannot be able to reproduce anymore because they are alcoholic. And you talked about environmental and genetic factors. So what would be the factor in this situation only in Central and it is not in lower land, it's not in elsewhere? Why is it so critical here in Central?
Thank you very much. We are here not to bias or to talk of a certain community, but to enlighten the community so that they can know.
You know the factors.
That are contributing. So number one, I said about culture. And I was not through the culture because culture, like I said, all the rituals that we have to conduct involve some of these substances. It involves alcohol, involves tobacco, involves... And traditionally, and even you've seen it. Where you come from, I don't know.
I'm a Meru.
We are a Meru.
Yeah.
We have somebody called Mukundi.
Yeah.
Gekundi. We have Mukundi. Na Gekunda. Here we have Kenya. Moreu. And then the Mwandiki.
Yeah.
We have Kenya.
Yeah.
In Mukambani we have Mworia. Right? Mkunywa pombe.
Yeah.
So this is something that was glorified. But now, what happened? What changed? In the past, this alcohol was not for everybody. It's only for men of a certain age. But remember, there are so many dynamics, even in our current environment, even in our current lifestyle. So much has changed. And remember, alcohol has an effect. We have a classification of these drugs. We have the stimulants, we have the depressants, we have the hallucinogens. Another day. Now, alcohol is a depressant. It was accepted culturally and traditionally. But look at this young man who has come from India looking for a job and is not getting a job. What do you think he will do to console himself? He will take something that is a depressant to make him forget the challenges that he's going through. Now, adding to the culture and the tradition, this is another thing of unemployment. The high economic challenges, these are factors, and we cannot assume that they are not contributing. Look at the rate of family conflicts. This old man, and we are here because of old men and women, doesn't want to, what do you call it? The sharing the properties
with the children.
Inheritance. He's sticking to them. This kid is going out there, he wants to do some farming in the compound, in the shamba, the family shamba, but this man will not give him somewhere to farm. Sasa kijana ana lose hope, akiangalia huku, akienda huku, ana lose hope. Unfortunately, the spirituality of these people is low. Mtu haendi kanisa, hajui kuomba, and once beaten, anaanguka chini na anatumia bangi because he needs something to make him feel like you are at peace. But for sure, you are creating the second problem. The first problem was unemployment. The first problem was the hard economic times. But when you drink alcohol, it depresses, but you have two problems now. The old problem of unemployment, the old problem of not having money remains. And now you have added another problem which you must drink to survive.
It becomes a disease.
It becomes a disease. So there are so many factors. But I thank God that our deputy president, it's something that I have not seen for so long. There is that political goodwill, and everybody now is awake. We are fighting this menace. Politically, socially, religiously, and we are going to win the battle.
So this alcoholism, because our main focus here is the elderly.
Yes.
You are a child, or you are a son or a daughter, even girls, a lot of them, they're alcoholics. So when you came, what was its effect on your parents or the parents now? How does it affect them?
Let me say that we say alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. Why do we say this? Because, say for example, nimeenda nimekunywa changa, or my 2 beers, or nimelala kwa mtaro. For me, I don't have, I'm not processing anything, my brain is not functioning.
Yeah.
But remember, My mother was not sleeping. My father was spending sleepless nights, going to the police station, going to the hospital, going to the mortuary. I remember there were those days when they looked for me everywhere. These people became psychologically disturbed. Remember, there is a family name. There is that family image.
Yeah.
So I have stigmatized the family. I have stigmatized myself. And once any member of the family is affected, the entire family is affected. And that's now where what you are asking about how are my parents. I'm very sorry because it happened to them. But again, I thank God I survived, and that's what I'm talking about today. To enlighten, to educate the rest of the parents.
So literally it affects parents, it
affects everybody. Remember, this is the family. There is that family image. It is affected. These people are psychologically disturbed because they are being associated with an alcoholic. Again, when I lack something to drink, nitaenda kwa eneo nifungulie kuku. I have affected the neighbor. Unaiba.
Kwa nyumbani
Ngeta.
Kupata sahani kwa nyumba
unapita nayo. Unachukua stove unaenda unauza. Unachukua mbosho na ndio ulikuwa umepikia sapa. Alright? So, it is affecting not only the family but even the community. And when I'm in that state, I become unproductive. So community nafikiri wewe ni mwizi tu. Wewe ni mwizi. Na you are suffering in the brain. You are suffering in the brain. And instead of coming together, collective responsibility, and looking for help for this young man or this young girl, you stigmatize. So what you do tell the community or the parents? My message to the community is one. To the family is one. When somebody, there are those people who are addicted to tea. If they don't take tea, they get a headache.
Yeah.
Once they take tea, the headache is gone.
Yeah.
What is the difference between this person who is trembling because of lacking alcohol na akikunywa pombe anaacha kutetemeka? All of them are alcoholics. The biggest problem that we are having now to the viewers is stigma. Addiction is a disease. It has signs. When you get malaria, you start feeling cold, you start having joint aches, you start having bitter saliva, and you go to a doctor. And this doctor prescribes some medication. Sometimes you are prescribed to go and have a bed rest. Sometimes you have become an inpatient. And then after some time, you recover and you go home. Na unachemshia supu, unakunywa unapona. Same case with mental health issues, and alcohol and drug abuse is one of them. They present some problems. They present the issue of violence. They present, all these are indicators that this person is not sick, is not okay. Can I few of those symptoms? Some of the symptoms is when somebody becomes a loner, or when somebody will start hanging out with people that you don't know. When somebody starts, which is the best explanation that I can give, symptoms, he becomes very aggressive, very violent.
Nasikianga huyu akiwa mlevi saili hajakunywa ako sawa. You are justifying.
You are justifying. Yeah. But in that one, there is something I want to point out. And it's something that a majority of us will miss a lot on. When somebody drinks and you say, huyu akikunywa anakuanga mwendawazimu.
Yeah.
Remember, chances are, huyu mtu akona ugonjwa wa akili underlying, very mild, kwa akili. Lakini akikunywa, ina explode. So, si ati akikunywa anakuwa mlevi, anakuwa mwendawazimu, no. Mwendawazimu iko ndani yake. And that's why you need a doctor to come and diagnose. Also, ukiona be having two problems in one. There is alcohol problem or drug problem and a mental disorder, a disease in the brain. But we cover it in a blanket. Huyu ni mlevi. Ni mlevi anakunywa anakuanga hivyo. So ukiona kitu kama hiyo, huyu mtu mkimbishe, sasa ambia daktari akikunywa hata ndio inalipukanga. Kwa hiyo that's a problem. It's a problem. Na utaona anapatiwa na psychiatric doctor. Anaona hii ni ugonjwa wa akili, hii ni mood disorder, hii ni bipolar, hii ni anxiety, schizophrenia. Good. And these are diseases of the brain. Wow. Lakini akikunywa pombe sasa ina explode. Na wewe unasema ni pombe. Unasema unaiweka into a blanket. Okay, so, let's go back to genetic environment, which is the other factor. The other one was the biochemistry, the biological and chemical makeup in a person. Mine differs from yours. Madam Lucy, will find there are those who will take one can of beer.
They are drunk.
And they cause chaos in the environment. They cause chaos in the neighborhood. Just one. Lakini kuna huyu jamaa akona mzinga.
Ama kireti moja.
Ana mzinga ile ya 750 ml. Na ana chase, kuna vitu wanaitanga chesa. Anapoesha na this is a hard stuff. This mzinga.
Yes.
Anapoesha na bia. Na atakunywa ya kwanza na ya pili. Lakini huyu alikunywa akatoka wazimu. Can you explain that?
I can't.
Somebody who smokes weed, marijuana, bangi.
Yeah.
Akisikia mtu anavuta sigara, anatoroka. Anavuta bangi, lakini akisikia sigara ikinuka pale, anakohoa.
Ala.
Huyu mwingine anavuta sigara, are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Lakini hataki kusikia harufu ya bangi. Can you explain?
Sasa kula yote.
Kuna wale wanakula yote. Kuna yule kulingana na Can you explain that?
Huyu ni mtu wa bangi.
Huyu ni kan moja ya bia.
Yes.
Huyu ni mzinga.
Na imwezi.
Can you explain?
Hata anapoeza na taska.
Anapoeza na
taska. Kama yeye hapo.
Don't mention the brand.
Okay. Anapoeza na
another drink. So, can you explain this? How can you explain?
I can't because I'm not experienced.
The fact is, the biology, the chemistry makeup from one person, differs from one person to another. So there are so many factors, but those are the major ones. Remember, we have also added something, mental disorders. Somebody is having an underlying mental condition, alafu aongezee pombe, and I explode.
Wow.
So let's not be the best thing is to get more information on this. So na tujue hii ugonjwa. Nimesema rehab is, let's not stop calling it a rehab. Let's call it a hospital.
Now, let's go back to you now. All these things you have explained to us happened to you.
They happened to me, yes.
And you went through all this.
And I'm a testimony.
You struggled, you are a testimony, your parents, your neighborhood, everyone knew you as a drunkard.
Yes.
So one day ukamuka ukaenda rehab. By yourself?
No, it was not easy.
So parents, waliona shida ama wewe ndio
nilianza kujiuliza what is not happening in my life.
Uliwaambia unataka kwenda.
Ilifika mahali nikawaambia, now mom, dad, I mean come to my rescue.
Wow.
It reached a point that I went there voluntarily, willingly.
I'm so like you are fearing to die.
Yes, I could say.
Ukiwa hivyo unaona abana naogopa kukufa.
You know what?
Yeah.
In 3 instances, my parents were called to come and pick some bodies that were collected along Chania River. 2 are from Chania River, another body was found.
Walking dead?
Yes.
Walifikiri you are one of them.
Wanapigia wazazi, kujeni mchukue.
Oh my God.
So these are some of the things that made me wake up.
Wow.
Again, I lost my papers. Zile vitu yote nilisema primary school, high school, university, I don't have the originals.
Ulilose wapi?
Nikiwa mlevi. So, I mean, these were the wake-up calls. My son, when my son was born and he was going for baptism, I could not attend the baptism. Because I'm...
Oh, so this time you're already married?
Yes.
You are too evil. It's okay.
God, we have a God who we serve a living God, a God of another church.
So you got married, you are still in drinking,
alcoholism, yes.
So now ukaenda rehab.
Nikaenda rehab. I was there for 2 months, and this is what now, when I was in rehab, this is what prompted me to what I do today. When I started recollecting myself, I realized that there are so many people I've left out there that need help. And that's how I came up with Uhai Kenya NGO.
Wow.
Alright?
Yeah.
And during that time, I recollected myself, and then I went back to school after leaving rehab. I was trained by Nakaba to be an addiction professional. I have gotten certification from Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association. I have gotten so many accreditations from Addiction Prevention Rehabilitation Association of Kenya. I'm a member of so many associations.
Anything ile inapinga pombe.
Kupigana na pombe.
Yeah.
And this problem, let me tell you, let me surprise you further.
The deputy president should hear you and use you in Central.
That's what I'm a testimony, and I campaign a lot.
Yeah.
Anything to do with alcoholism and drug, especially creating awareness, because it is lacking awareness. Ukiona mtu unasema
unamblame tu
kwanza hiyo stigma is a big thing.
So badala ya kumsaidia unamuumiza zaidi.
Listen to me, that you get malaria because of bushes,
standing waters,
the stagnant water.
Mtu ako na malaria.
Yes. Unless you clear the bush and you drain the water,
ukunywe
dawa, then only you can get treatment. I mean, you get recovery.
Yeah.
Same case with alcoholism. There are those predisposing factors. Unless you address them, utapigana na pombe, uone mtu ameacha kukunywa pombe, juu ni pombe umepigana nayo, ameanza usherati. Sababu the root cause has not been addressed.
Na sasa ile tunaonanga hata mapasta wanasema wanakuombea.
There is that spirituality aspect of it, that one we cannot rule out. It comes in hand because again there is that spiritual warfare. There is that and that's why I talk about spirituality, the higher power. Why is this happening to me? We have those challenges with spiritualism. So you have to combine efforts. You bring the family, the community, the environment that you're living in, the spiritual men and women of God, like what Madame Dorcas is doing. I mean, we have to combine it because ulete daktari ya akili, all these people should be put in one basket.
It's called
a multidisciplinary approach.
Multidisciplinary approach.
Yes.
A holistic
approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah. Now you umemaliza rehab.
Nimemaliza rehab, nikarudi shule, nikasoma na kada, nikarudi
niko na bibi na watoto.
Bibi niko naye na sasa nilikuwa na watoto wawili.
Yeah. Now you are a father of how many kids?
I'm a father of 3 children.
How old are they?
The first one is 16 years, the second one is 9 years, and the last one is 5 years old. The first one is a boy, a girl, and a boy.
Congratulations.
And the good thing about this, hawa watoto wajui baba mlevi.
Walikujua after umetoka?
When I was drinking, they were so young. So,
maybe the genetic factor.
That is the thing. God forbid. God forbid.
No, the environment is good for them.
The environment is good for them. Now the thing I have to be very conscious about is the genetic. I don't want them to be exposed in any way.
Yeah, because ukitrigger
kidogo hivi umeasha moto na utaweza kuzima.
Oh Lord.
You see? And now science has said that 1 out of 5 only survive after alcohol and drug abuse addiction. The ratio is
now as a married man or as a kama wazee wale unajua huko Murang'a and the other area, that has not mentioned places wale watu unajua the wazee, what both women and men when they are drunkards now, what effect does it have on the family?
It has a very big effect. Remember, for me, I was brought up in a sober family. My dad is teetotal, he doesn't take anything. My mother has never tasted alcohol. In fact, my dad akikunywa chupa mbili hatafanya job for that whole week. 2 beers.
Maybe your grandfather's jail.
That is the thing. And then back in my mind, I always try to trace it backwards. Now, you've asked a very good question.
Yeah.
Because my parents, they didn't do anything. But you'll find there are those parents who will brew alcohol in their homestead. They'll sell every weekend. They have these substances. People of my age, their fathers are now grandfathers, right? And they are the majority. What is the major cause of alcoholism in elderly people? Because we have to address that.
Yes.
And it is there. And remember, we are having a gap. In the research that we conduct, in most cases we leave out the elderly people. A recent study by NACADA, a survey that was released early this year, I think it was in April or March, the study was conducted for ages between 15 to 65.
Yeah.
That one we have data, we have well documented, but from 65 onwards, we don't have, and we have a problem there.
Hapa ndio wazee
wako 65 moving.
Kama ni wale walevi walikuwa wakaendelea sasa kukufia huko mbele. So anyway, yeah. So
there is this bigger number between 65 moving forward.
Yeah.
I work with rehabs. I work with treatment facilities.
Yeah.
And we are having men and women who are being brought to rehab facilities because of alcoholism.
Over 60 years.
Over 70 years, yes.
Yeah.
Recently, there was another clip that was going viral of an old elderly woman saying that she has been left with children there, and she drinks I hope you listen to that. It was a viral thing. So, let's not forget that alcoholism in elderly is prevalent. And that one is, remember, alcoholism and drug abuse is a cross-cutting issue. It doesn't choose on race, age, gender. It's cross-cutting. So, a man who has been working for all his years, he's gone for retire. He had a busy schedule from 8 to 5.
At work.
Yeah. Now, he's retired. Where will he go? And his children are working. He's left at home. He doesn't have the energy to go and take care of the cow. He doesn't have the energy to go and dig.
Yeah.
You see? So what will he do? Atachukua miratina, akoroge kapombe yake hapa. Ama
atachanga ile ya rais.
Yes. Ama atokee kwa plot in the nearest shopping center.
Yeah.
And they meet there with other wazes. And the next best thing to do is what?
Like you said, they also culture has encouraged it like it's normal.
It has been accepted, and this alcohol is accessible. It is all over.
And it's the cheap, the bad one.
The cheap, the bad one. No, this man is suffering loneliness. He's suffering emptiness. He's remembering the days when he was energetic, when he could do things for himself. But now he's dependent.
Maybe mama ametoka kaenda kwa wasichana yake.
Ameenda kwa wasichana yake. Na ukumbuke huyu mzee pia at that age of 70 your body becomes weak. The immune system is so they are on other medications. Okay?
Counteracting.
You see? So
mention here counteracting because kuna wengine they don't even know even medication like Panadol, aspirin. Unakunywa dawa, umeprescribiwa dawa na unaendelea kunywa pombe.
Unaendelea that what do you call it? When you're mixing, when you're using
interactions,
the interaction of drugs. This man at his age could be suffering from blood pressure, blood sugar, akona arthritis, akona ugonjwa ya maybe kifua, macho iko na shida. All these medicine zimewekwa hapa.
Yeah.
Mtoto wake na wajukuu wake wameenda kutafuta na huko. Zimeachwa hapa. Remember, the brain is aging. Na mwili inahitaji dawa. Amekuja amezipata zote. Unapatanga hata kuna zile expired ziko kwa hiyo list. Na mzee ndiye anajua anastahili kunywa dawa na amekuja kama amekunywa kikombe moja ama mbili.
Anakunywa tu.
Anararua zote.
Unasikia alilala hapo amuka.
So these are the challenges with elderly men and women. And it's just lack of care and support.
Kuna wengine even there's another one about caring. Watoto wengine wanasema they can never take care of their parents because like their dad, mostly their dad, never took care of them. He was in alcoholism.
Yes.
And that is why now they are also neglecting him. Is that true?
It happens a lot. It happens a lot. When I needed you most, you are absent. You are out drinking with your friends.
Yeah.
And my mother or my father, it can either be either way. Yeah? So you are not there for me. Now I'm energetic and I'm remembering the torture that you took us through when we were growing up.
So your revenge.
It's not a revenge kind of thing. It is not a revenge.
Yeah.
But what happened is you created a gap between you and me. You did not bond. During the formative years of a human being, the most important age of a human being is the formative years from day one to somewhere around 15 years. Very critical age. Because that's where you bond, you have that emotional bond, physical bond. But if you're an absent father during that period, that gap you'll never fill it up. It will be very difficult for you to fill it up. So in old age, this person will not be feeling you. I mean, you You are not there. How now? How do
I never saw you.
I never saw you. I never felt you. All I know was my mom.
Yeah.
Or you are out there in Nairobi and I'm in Mworia those sides, or I'm in Mary those sides.
Yeah.
You are working hard out there, but I don't know you. I mean, I know you as a father. Yes, you are my father. I don't deny.
You are father, but you are not a parent.
You are not present for me.
You are not present.
So even that love, that affection, it will be somehow that kagap. So it's not neglect. They'll take care of you, but you are
not in their heart.
It's not.
So there is this other problem also. You might not even be in Murang'a or Meru or wherever away from your children. You're even in the same house.
You're in the same house.
But then your friends and your pambe is more friends to you than going home on time and seeing your children.
Exactly.
What can you tell those kind of people, those kind of men? Those who are rearing their children to avoid this disconnect during old age.
I want to say this, that the family is the most basic unit in a community. And if anything happens to you, you'll go back to that same family. Let's create time for our family. Let's create time for our children. Let's bond. Let me tell you that the government that you see is the foundation of the family. I normally say this, that the alcoholism we are seeing in the community, the social fabric that is torn apart, is a reflection of what is happening in our families. This is emanating from the family. We need to correct the families before we go to the area chief, before we go to the area AP or the police. No. Can you come back to your families, have time for your family, be a role model in your family, and now you have heard that genetically you can predispose your children. Can you mitigate? Can you avoid? For those who have already exposed their children, can you now take it up and try to prevent that first drink, that first smoke, because that is the most critical area. If you address that, if you go back to the families, you are going to have a very good society. Look at me now. Suppose I didn't stop drinking, and my children are already probably exposed. I would grow to an old man. Maybe I wouldn't even hit 70. Okay, with the kind of drinking that I was doing. But now, I got help. There was no stigma, especially that issue of stigma. Can we address it? And again, remember to communicate this to the family members. If you have a genetic predisposition, can you tell it openly that it runs in the family? It is something that goes on in the... If you are not careful, like now, I always tell my children, this family, if you are not careful, you have a problem with alcohol. That awareness, I'm preventing.
Wow.
And the only best sure way of managing alcoholism is prevention.
Now that is to the parents who could be drinking, be not having time for their families. You have talked to them.
Yes.
Now there is this person, you just told me that there is nothing like alcoholism recovery. There's nothing like recovered.
No.
You're still in the process.
Once an alcohol
is triggered, it can still go back.
I just need somebody who has taken alcohol. I use the same glass to drink water. That one will awaken. It's a whole topic for another day. There
is this person who didn't even know there's a problem. You are a parent, you are busy there. You are like castigating your son or your daughter, and you say there is help.
Yes.
Can you talk to those kind of parents and those victims who are themselves alcoholic, like you are? You tell them what they can do and where they can get the help.
Thank you very much. Now, there is many people who are suffering out there because their loved ones don't know what to do with them. Remember, in this country we have counselors and psychologists. And these are the primary people who will identify where you are suffering, what is bringing about your challenges. Where is your problem, psychological challenge, where is it coming from? And we are spread all over. We have an association, Kenya Counselors and Psychologists Association. That one is an umbrella association. We have more than 20,000 professionals who are working on mental health issues. Counselor number one is your preacher. Your preacher must have undergone some training. And again, if you go to the church and seek, we are spread all over. Like now, KCPA has branches in 47 counties. Go to your local area and you'll find a counselor who is certified. That's another thing I want to talk about. Certification of professional counselors, because you have so many quacks.
That's why when you say then go to your pastor, it's not every pastor who is a counselor.
Not every pastor is a counselor. But let them do the first aid, psychological first aid, and then be referred. Like now, we are those also who don't go even to church. The those who don't go to kwa mitaro huko sasa atajua pastor sangapi. I understand where you're coming from, but the awareness I'm trying to create is if you go to the local administration there, there is help. Hata kwa chief utaenda inahitaji usaidizi. Na kama wewe like now with the current awareness that is being created with the political goodwill from His Excellency Deputy President and the spouse, that awareness is telling us that this is an issue, this is a disease, and we can handle it. And that's one of the Deputy President. Is it in the whole country or just central? I tend to believe that it is soon going to spread out to the rest of the country. In central, I think it's a pilot project, but I know it's going to spread out because Kenya is large and Kenya is small. So there is help. There is help. There is a lot of help. Just go to the website, search Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association. Go and search Addiction Prevention Rehabilitation Association. This is an umbrella association for all accredited treatment facilities. And so you must go to a rehab. But now my question is not necessarily that you have to go to rehab. You must be counseled. You need to have professional help. Yes. There are those who will recover even without the help of going to but you need a professional. But now here in Kenya today, there's someone there who is suffering. Are these services free? Can you access them for free? Can you go to a counselor without money? Can you go to a rehab without money? I understand they are very expensive. So I am sure your parents cost a lot for you to go to that rehab. So what about a regular boy who does not have? So when you don't have more than goodwill, maybe these are the you expect now their facilities, their counselors, they are set out there who can be accessed by regular people. Are they of such? Let me mention this, that in all our medical facilities, we have the psychiatric department. And I believe we have counselors and psychologists in that department. You are not too sure? I tend to think they're supposed to be there. Because, even people who are suffering from cancer, they need counseling. People need to be prepared that this is something that you have to live with. But honestly speaking, yes, you have patients in the general hospital, patients with cancer, with diabetes, with HIV needs counseling, and then you expect someone who is saying, I have drunk, counsel me. Then you are not handling this problem properly. We need to have centers that have free counselors, that are rehab, that is free, that we know that hata regular mzazi wa kawaida ile you cannot afford like your dad, like like other people, because I know they're expensive. So if there is goodwill from the government, these are the things we need to see. Let me say this. This is something that the government should consider to have the all treatment, all hospitals and dispensaries to have such a unit. It is very paramount that we have such a unit where people can get help either using the NHIF card. Previously, alcoholism was not recognized as a disease. Today, there is some percentage that is paid by NHIF. Previously, it was not there. So, this is a gradual process, and I know you're going to get there where you're going to have mental health addressed in all the facilities. It is not a cheap affair. Recovery capital, the capital that is required for somebody to come back to normal life, is not easy. It's an expensive. You've seen it ranges from 80 to 120,000, but the cheapest is around 80,000 shillings. How many can afford that? That is the challenge. So that's where the government is coming. If you remember well, Madam Lucy, we had an initiative from Mworia County government. We had an initiative from Kiambu County, which did not go so well. Again, there is something that I want to mention here, that it's good to separate politics from.
Yes.
Because sometimes some people do these things for that political mileage, and this initiative, they don't last for long. We had a good one in Murang'a County, and it had picked so well, and it was assisting. So many people benefited from that. But it elapsed.
Thank you. Viewers, let us separate serious things like alcoholism, this is a disease, from politics. Let us take it as in the category of other diseases that needs attention. That when we go to a general hospital, we find a unit for that, we find the counselors who are readily there, we find rehab centers by the government and well-wishers. So, finally, this is a disease. This is ravaging our country. So, viewers, we thank you so much and for viewing, and we ask you, please, to continue subscribing to this channel so that we can continue learning our social problems and looking for solutions and pushing for the laws to be there and pushing for the right policies to address these issues. Thank you very much.